So I was looking at play opportunities at PAX West 2019 yesterday and saw that there was a two-headed giant Chaos box sealed tournament happening in the afternoon yesterday, and I reached out to Adam and Marshall and asked if either of them would like to play in that with me. They were like, sure. Marshall's, I'm down. So I meet up Marshall, and it's a crazy format where we got 8 packs of Battle Bond, and then 4 packs each of every set in Standard except for M19. And then you cracked all 36 packs and built 2 sealed decks out of them to play two-headed giant style. And it's funny, I was talking to Marshall about it going in, and we were strategizing, and I was saying, well, you know, everybody gets fancy play syndrome around two-headed giant and wants to do like the one deck is all spells and one deck is all creatures, and how tricky is that? And it's like, that tends to be fancy play syndrome, Marsh. We just kind of want to figure out where our strengths are and build the obvious best decks that we can from those. But that was true of, I do believe that is true of normal two-headed giant sealed, like whatever is like 12 packs. Is two-headed giant sealed normally 12 packs, something like that? In any case, even if it's not, maybe it's 8 packs, whatever it is. The point is, I think that what I said is correct when you have a minimal number of packs, because at that point you're still just slaves to your cards and you're going to play whatever cards you get. However, what we then learned is that I was wrong about that heuristic when it comes to full box, because when you're opening 36 packs, you're so deep on playables that you really are kind of constructing constructed decks, constructing weak standard decks. And so we really looked, so the way we approached even opening and sorting was we had all the packs laid out, and I said, okay, what I'm going to do is we can both crack packs, but I'm going to ship over to you the rares and mythics, and obviously powerful, like removal, card drawing, just huge draws, you know, mythic uncommons, removal, and literal rares and mythics. As we opened them, I kind of shoved them over to Marsh, and so I was kind of just madly sorting stuff, and Marsh was taking the cards and doing some initial looks at where our pulls were, like what we were being pulled toward. Because what I felt was, also, we only had like an hour to, like, it took up a lot of your time just to get all the packs open and get your cards sorted, much less build a deck in time, build 2 decks in time. So that felt like the right way to do it. And sure enough, as we got to the end of pack opening and sorting, Marsh was like, okay, I think I see what we got here. We have 2 Shalai, and a lot of green, a lot of good green, white stuff. So let's build around that over here. And then we also had a bunch of we had Tetzimok. So obviously we were playing black. You can't not play Tetzimok. We eliminated red really easily. Like one thing you can do when you're making 2 decks like this, you're probably going to do two color decks and some splashes. But you can probably find 1 color to eliminate as a main color. That's one of your first jobs when approaching, I think, two-headed giant deck building, especially sealed. Figure out which color is not going to be the anchor of one of the decks, because usually there's one that's relegated to splash territory, and the sooner you can figure that out, the sooner you can just cut a whole swath of stuff from stuff that you're even looking at. And we did that with red. Red had a couple of decent cards and some like a bunch of shocks or whatever, but we had bottomless pacify effects. We had so many pacifism effects and so much black removal and so much card draw that red was just not offering us anything. Thank you, Magic, for hosting my stream. Appreciate that. Just talking about playing Magic at PAX yesterday. So we went with that plan, and because of that, we really did get to make, like, it was not just fancy play syndrome. What we wanted to do was lean into the fact that we had 2 Shalais. Is that the? Let me look at my own link. Make sure I'm. Is that the new? Yeah, Shalai. We had 2 Shalais, and Shalai puts counters on everything. So we wanted Marshall to go wide, and so this is where it became about constructed mentality of deck building rather than just raw power. Obviously you play the good stuff, but you need to, but with this many cards you can play the synergistic stuff as well. So if you go to the link and look at Marshall's deck, or I can even, here, let me I I can be a little spoilery now and switch you to, since this is a story that may go up on YouTube, I want people on YouTube to actually be able to see what I'm talking about here. So we'll go to the left monitor and I'll pop this up and we'll take a look. It is so hard just to get, like, all I want is images in a new tab, and Twitter makes it so hard. Because, yeah, and then we can do this and look a little bit more closely here. So this is the deck Marshall ended up with. We had a swords, and we had like 7 other pacifism effects we could have played, or probably six pacifism style effects available to us, but we just didn't need it, as you'll see from the other deck. So what we wanted to do, it wasn't fancy play syndrome. We wanted to really build around the Shalais. So it was all about efficient creatures, but make 2 creatures, draw an extra card, make 2 creatures, make 2 creatures, make 2 creatures, make a bunch of creatures. So this Marshall was just trying to go wide and basically get there on the strength of the Shalais. And then my role was to protect his plan with this insane of just pure like advantage and removal. So deadweight triumph was good because it's each opponent. So this gets 2 creatures, and it's planeswalkers. We actually got with Liliana's triumph, we picked off a mythic Chandra, M20 Chandra mythic. So that was nice. Negate's great in the format because the Haymaker spells are, again, we're like building a constructed deck here, right? Like, so it's basically removal, thought collapse. You'd think in 36 PAX that 2 thought collapses wouldn't be your most powerful spells or whatever, but they did the job that we needed. This was the job we needed done. And we had Tetsamok and Kaya. Never cast any of these 3. Never cast Mind's Eye, Switcheroo, or Enter. I think Mind's Eye should have been in Marshall's deck. If I could make a change now, I'd throw this in Marshall's deck. I had enough card drawing in this deck that we should have given him a card drawing engine for his turn. And yeah, so mana wasn't actually great for this deck, but this was enough to go 3-0. The most epic round was the first round. We played LR fans in the first round who were traveling out from Pennsylvania to attend PAX, and it was great. We had an incredible battle. Best game of Magic I've played in a long time, probably. It had Haymaker after Haymaker after Haymaker. We had a situation. This was the place where Mythic Chandra showed up. Mythic Chandra was activated the loyalty ability exactly 3 times in the match, but from 3 different appearances. She showed up, activated, died, showed up. She showed up. She gave us. She gives both players one of those burn emblems, right? So both of us get a burn emblem. We managed to kill her immediately, and then I use the Saga, the black 5-mana Saga. And used it to get Chandra on our side. We activated Chandra on our side. So we activate Chandra, pass the turn. Oppo says, end step, I'm going to play the spell that allows me to search for 2 planeswalkers. Goes into his deck, finds, or maybe he'd done this before. Anyway, finds Teferi, Big Teferi, and Nicol Bolas, and decides not to get Sarkhan, the Dragon Maker. Anyway, uses Teferi to put Chandra 3rd from the top in his library, and then recast it again shortly after. And anyway, it was an amazing game of Haymaker after Haymaker after Haymaker. Dionysus asked for an explanation of exactly what it is. 2-headed giant is when you play with a partner. You each have your own decks, and you cast your own stuff, but you take turns simultaneously. So you kind of can decide who does what in what priority during each phase. And you have a shared life total of 30 life. So each side gets 30 life. It's a best of 1. You don't do best of 3. And when you attack, you're attacking your opponent's single life total. So you do a collective attack. It's like, okay, we're going to send 2 of your creatures and 2 of mine. Go, you know. And yes, Wujo's not wrong that 36 pack is bourgeois sealed deck for sure. But it's an interesting format because it puts you somewhere in that spectrum between constructed and limited that feels very cube-like, very EDH-like. So I had a good time. Also, it's nice to have a partner like Marshall kind of naturally took the lead on being our strategic commander, and I would just run stuff by him. I think part of it was that he was playing the creature deck, so he was a lot more focused on what was going on the battlefield, and I was just kind of like figuring out what important stuff to get rid of. But it was a lot of fun. PAX is a good time if you can get there.